Hot flashes even before your period ends. Mood swings that feel like teenage years all over again. Trouble sleeping even when you're exhausted. Many women believe menopause starts suddenly at age 50, but in reality the transition begins years earlier. It's called perimenopause. This is when estrogen and progesterone rise and fall unpredictably, making your cycle shorter, longer, or sometimes skipped entirely. But it's not just your period that changes. These hormone shifts can trigger hot flashes, night sweats, anxiety, weight gain around the belly, joint pain, and restless sleep. The good news is you are not alone. Understanding perimenopause can turn fear into a plan with smart nutrition, better sleep, regular movement, and the right medical support when needed. This is not the end of vitality. It's a natural transition you can move through with strength and confidence. I'm Dr. Jen Gunter, a gynecologist with over 20 years of experience guiding women through the complex stages of perimenopause and menopause. Over the years, I've met countless patients who arrived in my office worried about night sweats, mood swings, weight gain, or brain fog, thinking something was wrong with them. In truth, what they were experiencing was their body's natural hormonal transition. Estrogen and progesterone begin to fluctuate long before the final period. And these changes often create symptoms that feel confusing, even frightening. My mission has always been to replace that confusion with clarity, and to show women that with the right information, lifestyle adjustments, and when needed medical support, this phase of life can be managed with strength, confidence, and dignity. As estrogen and progesterone begin to fluctuate, your cycle changes, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, sometimes skipped altogether. But it's not just about periods. These hormonal shifts ripple through your entire body. They can cloud your memory, weaken your bones, stress your heart, and steal the restful sleep your body needs. The challenge is that many women don't recognize these signs until years later, when fatigue, mood changes, or bone loss have already taken a toll. Perimenopause is not a sudden switch, it's a gradual transition. And understanding it early gives you the power to protect your long-term health. If this resonates with you, don't wait. Subscribe now, share this with a friend, and let's walk through this journey together with knowledge and confidence. Let me tell you about Susan. She was 46, a mother of 2 teenagers, juggling a demanding full-time job and the daily chaos of family life. For most of her adult years, she had been healthy and resilient, the kind of woman who could handle stress and still keep everything moving. But almost overnight, things started to change. She began waking at 3 a.m., drenched in sweat, her pajamas soaked, her sheets damp. Falling back asleep was nearly impossible, and the exhaustion carried over into her workday. Her menstrual cycles, which had always been predictable, suddenly became a mystery. Some months they came 2 weeks early, other times not at all. Her moods shifted without warning, snapping at her husband or children one moment, then dissolving into tears the next. She worried that something was deeply wrong. Was it stress, early depression, or worse, a serious medical condition? Like many women, Susan had heard of menopause, but she thought it was a clear line that appeared in her early 50s, marked by the end of her periods. No one had explained that years before menopause, her hormones would begin to fluctuate wildly, and that this stage, called perimenopause, could last 4 to 10 years. When we sat down together, I explained that her symptoms, the night sweats, the unpredictable cycles, the mood swings, were not signs of weakness or disease, but the natural consequences of declining estrogen and progesterone. These hormones don't fade gently. They rise and fall unpredictably, and every fluctuation can ripple through the body. For Susan, the sleepless nights were connected to hot flashes. The irritability and anxiety were tied to neurotransmitter changes in the brain. And the cycle irregularity was the most visible marker of perimenopause. Once she understood the biology behind her symptoms, something shifted in her mindset. Instead of feeling like she was losing control, she realized she was entering a transition that millions of women face. With that knowledge, we built a plan. She started keeping a symptom diary to track her cycles and sleep patterns. She adjusted her evening routine, limiting caffeine, keeping her bedroom cool, and adding short bouts of meditation before bed. We optimized her nutrition with calcium-rich greens, omega-3s, and more fiber to protect her bones and stabilize her energy. None of these changes worked overnight, but within weeks, Susan noticed improvement. Her sleep became less interrupted, her mood swings softened, and she no longer dreaded the unpredictability of her body. Most importantly, she felt empowered instead of scared. She finally understood. Perimenopause wasn't the end of her vitality, but the beginning of a new phase where knowledge and small, steady choices could give her back control. Susan's story is not unique. It's the reality for countless women in their 40s and 50s who silently suffer, not realizing what their bodies are trying to tell them. And that's why awareness matters. Perimenopause isn't a disease, it's a natural transition. The difference lies in whether you go through it in confusion or step into it with clarity, confidence, and support. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear again and again is this: menopause starts only when your periods stop. Many women assume that as long as their cycle is still showing up, even if it's irregular, they can't possibly be in menopause. This belief leaves them unprepared and often anxious when new, confusing symptoms appear. The scientific truth is very different. Menopause itself is simply the point when you have gone 12 consecutive months without a period. But the stage that leads up to it, called perimenopause, can last anywhere from 4 to 10 years. During this time, estrogen and progesterone levels don't decline in a straight line. Instead, they rise and fall unpredictably, sometimes high, sometimes low, creating a roller coaster effect that touches nearly every system of the body. That's why a woman may experience hot flashes one month, crushing fatigue the next, and then feel almost normal again for a while. It's also why mood swings, brain fog, palpitations, or even joint pain can appear years before the final period. These are not random complaints or signs of weakness. They are clear messages from the body that hormone balance is shifting. Understanding this matters deeply. If you cling to the misconception that menopause only begins when periods stop, you may dismiss years of symptoms as stress, overwork, or simply aging. By the time you connect the dots, bone loss may have already accelerated, cardiovascular risk may have crept up, and your sleep and mental health may have taken a heavy toll. Recognizing perimenopause early changes the story. It allows women to prepare rather than react. Tracking cycles, supporting bone density with calcium and vitamin D, protecting the heart with exercise and omega-3s, practicing stress reduction for mood stability. These strategies make a measurable difference. And when necessary, medical guidance from a gynecologist or menopause specialist can provide targeted options, from non-hormonal therapies to carefully tailored hormone replacement. The bottom line is this: menopause isn't a sudden switch you flip on your 50th birthday. It's a gradual, sometimes bumpy transition. The earlier you understand what's happening, the more power you have to protect your long-term health, your bones, your heart, your brain, and your emotional well-being. Replacing the old myth with the real science turns confusion into clarity and fear into a plan. One of the earliest and most reliable signs of perimenopause is a change in your menstrual cycle. For decades, many women have been used to a fairly predictable rhythm, a cycle that arrives every 26 to 30 days, with a flow that is familiar and consistent. But as estrogen and progesterone begin to fluctuate, that rhythm often becomes irregular. Some cycles may suddenly shorten to 21 days, others may stretch to 35 or 40. You might skip a month entirely, only to have a heavier than usual period the next time. These changes can feel unsettling, especially if you've always been regular. Some women worry that they might be pregnant, others fear something more serious like uterine cancer. While it is always wise to check with your doctor if bleeding is unusually heavy or prolonged, most of the time these changes reflect the natural transition of perimenopause rather than disease. The challenge is that cycle changes are easy to dismiss or forget. That's why one of the most powerful tools I recommend is simple: keep a journal of your periods. This doesn't need to be complicated. You can use a paper calendar, a notebook, or a period tracking app on your phone. Mark the first day of bleeding, how many days it lasts, whether the flow is light, moderate, or heavy, and note any symptoms like cramps, headaches, breast tenderness, or mood shifts. Over time, this journal becomes a map of your body. Patterns that feel random day to day often become clear when you look back over several months. You may notice that your cycles are gradually spacing out, or that heavy bleeding is clustered in certain months. This record also gives your doctor valuable information. Instead of trying to recall vague memories of sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, you'll have concrete data that can guide decisions about lab tests, ultrasounds, or treatment. Tracking cycles also provides reassurance. When you see irregularity as part of a larger pattern, you begin to understand that your body is following a natural process rather than breaking down. This shift in perspective reduces anxiety and helps you anticipate what's next. For example, if you know your cycles are trending shorter, you may plan ahead for more frequent bleeding. If you see long gaps, you can prepare for heavier flow when bleeding finally returns. Most importantly, your period journal connects you to your own biology. In a culture that often teaches women to ignore or minimize their menstrual health, writing it down is an act of self-awareness and empowerment. It reminds you that perimenopause is not a mysterious enemy, but a transition you can observe, understand, and manage. So if you are in your 40s and beginning to notice changes, don't wait for confusion to pile up. Start today. Keep track. Your journal may be the first clue that perimenopause has begun and the first step toward taking charge of your health during this new stage of life. Hot flashes and night sweats are among the most common and often the most disruptive symptoms of perimenopause. Many women describe them as sudden waves of heat that rise from the chest to the face, often accompanied by flushing, pounding heartbeats, or even dizziness. At night, these episodes can drench your sheets, wake you suddenly, and leave you exhausted the next morning. Some women experience them once a week, others several times a day, and for many, the unpredictability is what feels most overwhelming. The root cause lies in fluctuating estrogen. This hormone normally helps regulate the body's thermostat in the brain. When levels swing up and down, the thermostat becomes hypersensitive. A small rise in body temperature, even from drinking hot tea or sitting in a warm room, can trigger a full-blown hot flash, while hormone therapy can be an option for some. The first and most effective line of defense is often lifestyle adjustments. One simple step is to keep your environment cool, especially at night. Lower your bedroom temperature, use breathable cotton sheets, and keep a small fan nearby. Many women find relief by layering lightweight blankets or clothing so they can easily adjust as their body temperature shifts. During the day, dressing in layers makes it easier to respond quickly when a hot flash begins. Caffeine and alcohol are also important triggers. Both can dilate blood vessels and increase the likelihood of vasomotor symptoms. Cutting back on coffee, tea, wine, or spicy foods in the evening can reduce the intensity of night sweats and improve sleep quality. Hydration is equally important. Sipping cool water throughout the day helps regulate body temperature and replaces fluids lost during episodes of sweating. Stress management plays a surprisingly powerful role as well. Hot flashes often occur more frequently during times of emotional tension. Techniques like deep breathing, mindfulness, or yoga can lower the body's stress response and calm the nervous system. Even 5 minutes of slow, intentional breathing when you feel a hot flash coming on can shorten its duration. For women whose night sweats are especially severe, practical steps such as moisture-wicking pajamas, cooling pillows, or mattress toppers can provide added comfort. Some women keep an extra set of sleepwear by the bed to quickly change and return to sleep with minimal disruption. The most important thing to remember is that you are not powerless. While hot flashes and night sweats are common, they are not something you have to simply endure. With small, thoughtful shifts in daily habits, a cooler room, layered clothing, mindful food and drink choices, and stress reduction, you can dramatically reduce the intensity and frequency of these episodes. These strategies restore a sense of control, improve sleep, and bring back the energy and confidence that unpredictable symptoms often steal away. Mood changes and sleep problems are two of the most frustrating challenges during perimenopause. Many women describe sudden irritability, bursts of anxiety, or even feelings of sadness that seem to appear without reason. At the same time, sleep becomes unpredictable. Some nights they fall asleep quickly but wake at 2 or 3 a.m., unable to drift back, while other nights they toss and turn for hours together. These issues create a cycle. Poor sleep worsens mood, and low mood makes it even harder to sleep. The underlying cause is largely hormonal. Estrogen and progesterone don't just regulate periods, they also affect neurotransmitters in the brain such as serotonin, dopamine, and GABA, which play a role in mood stability and relaxation. When these hormones fluctuate, the brain's chemistry shifts, leaving you more vulnerable to mood swings and restless nights. Add in the stress of work, caregiving, or aging parents, and it's easy to see why so many women feel overwhelmed. The good news is that lifestyle strategies can make a measurable difference. Regular physical activity is one of the most powerful tools. Aerobic exercise like brisk walking, swimming, or cycling releases endorphins that improve mood, reduce anxiety, and help reset the sleep-wake cycle. Strength training also builds muscle mass, which supports metabolism and stabilizes blood sugar, another factor that influences energy and mood. Just 30 minutes of movement most days can shift the body's chemistry in your favor. Relaxation techniques are equally important. Practices such as mindfulness meditation, yoga, or even slow breathing before bed can lower cortisol levels, calm the nervous system, and prepare the body for sleep. Creating a bedtime ritual, dimming lights, turning off screens, reading, or listening to calming music signals the brain that it's time to rest. Small adjustments such as avoiding late caffeine and keeping a consistent bedtime help anchor a healthier sleep rhythm. Still, for some women, lifestyle changes are not enough. This is where guided medical support can play a key role. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, is an evidence-based approach that teaches practical tools for breaking the cycle of sleepless nights. In cases of persistent anxiety or depression, low-dose antidepressants may be considered, not only to stabilize mood, but also to reduce hot flashes that disrupt sleep. Hormone therapy, when appropriate and carefully monitored, can also restore balance and bring significant relief. Most importantly, women need to know that these struggles are not a personal failure. Mood swings and sleep issues are normal consequences of hormonal transition, not a sign that you are losing control. By prioritizing exercise, practicing daily relaxation, and seeking medical guidance when needed, you can rebuild stability, improve resilience, and reclaim both your nights and your days. One of the hidden but most serious consequences of perimenopause is the gradual rise in bone loss and cardiovascular risk. As estrogen declines, its protective effect on both the skeletal system and the cardiovascular system begins to fade. Bone density decreases more quickly, leaving women vulnerable to osteoporosis and fractures from even minor falls. At the same time, cholesterol levels often rise, blood vessels stiffen, and blood pressure creeps upward, increasing the risk of heart disease, the leading cause of death among postmenopausal women. The good news is that small, consistent choices during perimenopause can dramatically change this trajectory. Nutrition is the foundation. Calcium remains essential for building and maintaining strong bones, but calcium alone is not enough. Magnesium works as a partner, guiding calcium into the bones rather than allowing it to accumulate in arteries, where it can increase cardiovascular risk. Together, these two minerals form a protective duo for both skeletal and heart health. Leafy greens, almonds, sesame seeds, and beans are excellent sources. Omega-3 fatty acids also play a critical role. Found in fatty fish such as salmon and sardines, as well as in walnuts and chia seeds, omega-3s reduce inflammation, improve blood vessel flexibility, and help regulate triglycerides. They also benefit joint health and mood, two common challenges in perimenopause. Adding 2 servings of fatty fish per week or a daily plant-based omega-3 source is a simple but powerful shift. Beyond nutrition, weight-bearing activity is vital. Unlike swimming or cycling, exercises that put gentle stress on bones, such as walking, jogging, hiking, dancing, or resistance training, stimulate bone cells to build density. At the same time, these activities strengthen the heart and improve circulation. Just 20-30 minutes of weight-bearing exercise most days can lower blood pressure, maintain muscle mass, and slow bone loss. Medical monitoring is also important. A baseline bone density scan and regular checks of cholesterol, blood pressure, and blood sugar help detect changes early when they are most manageable. Combining this knowledge with a nutrient-rich diet and consistent movement ensures that women don't just survive the transition through perimenopause, but enter the next phase of life stronger, more resilient, and with a reduced risk of fractures or heart disease. Perimenopause is not only about managing hot flashes or mood swings. It is also the critical window to invest in the long-term health of your bones and your heart. With calcium, magnesium, omega-3s, and weight-bearing activity, you give your body the tools it needs to stay strong, active, and independent for decades to come. Here's how you can support your body right now. Start with your plate. Add leafy greens like kale, spinach, or bok choy, along with a handful of almonds. These foods deliver calcium and magnesium, two nutrients that protect bone strength and guide calcium into the right places, your skeleton, not your arteries. Next, include reliable sources of omega-3s. A serving of salmon twice a week or a small handful of walnuts each day can reduce inflammation, support heart health, and even help stabilize mood and memory. But nutrition is only part of the story. Keep a simple symptom diary. Write down changes in your cycle, note hot flashes, track nights when you wake too early. This record helps you see patterns and gives your doctor concrete information so your concerns aren't dismissed as just stress or just aging. It turns vague frustration into actionable data. And finally, remind yourself daily, these changes are normal. They are not a personal failure or a sign that your body is betraying you. Perimenopause is a transition, not an ending. With the right foods, mindful tracking, and supportive care, you can step into this new stage with clarity, strength, and confidence. I often tell my patients, perimenopause isn't the end of womanhood. It's a bridge, sometimes bumpy, sometimes unpredictable, but it leads to a stage of life where you can feel freer, stronger, and wiser. The symptoms may feel overwhelming at first: hot flashes, mood swings, sleepless nights, or changes in your cycle. Yet each of these signals is simply your body's way of showing that it's transitioning to a new rhythm. When you understand what perimenopause really is, the fear begins to fade. You realize you are not broken, and you are certainly not alone. Millions of women walk this same path every year, and knowledge turns that path from confusion into clarity. With small daily choices, nourishing foods, consistent movement, stress management, and open conversations with your doctor, you can reduce discomfort and protect your long-term health. Perimenopause is not about losing control. It's about reclaiming it. When you name what's happening and respond with wisdom, you gain the confidence to cross that bridge with dignity and hope. And on the other side, many women discover a renewed sense of self. A life less defined by cycles and more defined by freedom, vitality, and resilience. So what is perimenopause? It's the transition before menopause, a natural phase when estrogen and progesterone rise and fall in unpredictable ways. During this time, your body sends signals. Irregular cycles, hot flashes, restless sleep, mood changes, even shifts in weight and energy. These aren't random problems or signs that you're falling apart. They are reminders that your hormones are recalibrating and that you have the power to respond with knowledge and care. The more you understand perimenopause, the less frightening it becomes. You can support your bones, your heart, and your mental health with the right foods, daily movement, and stress management. You can track your symptoms and have meaningful conversations with your doctor so you feel heard and supported. Most importantly, you can step into this stage with confidence, not confusion. If this video helped you, subscribe and turn on notifications. I'll be sharing more science-based tips to guide you through menopause with clarity and confidence. And please share this with a friend, sister, or colleague, because she may already be in perimenopause without even realizing it, and your support could change her journey.